and welcome to Decor Design International Seminar Series. Today we have Kishani all the way from LA. Welcome.
Hello,
thanks for Australia.
Thank you for having me.
So one of the key differences in your design work is your high-low mix, which you spoke about quite a lot today. Or as you put it, the art of the remix. How do you fuse the vintage with the modern without causing chaos and clutter, to make it cohesive result?
Right, it's really balanced. I was just mentioning this to somebody outside as well, and they said, how do you know when it's too much vintage? And I was like, well, I actually learned by other people's mistakes of seeing when you took vintage and went too far with it.
Yeah.
And you're like, this just looks like a 50s cafe or a thrift shop, and that's obviously not what anybody wants to live in. So it's really that restraint and balance of, I kind of do like a 50-50 mix of new and vintage. Or actually usually it's more like 33, 33, 33. So I do new, custom, and vintage.
Yep.
So that kind of keeps the balance in what I do. Sometimes it's not even a thing that I'm aware of that I'm doing. I just sort of do
develop an eye for it over time.
Yeah.
In a recent interview you said, I really aspire to create homes that are more than just a showroom for your belongings. How do you achieve that balance between a chic home and a livable one?
It's really about the surfaces that you pick, honestly. It's like, I don't, as we were saying, I choose places to invest, and the places I usually invest are things that you can't ruin easily.
Yeah.
So, light fixtures, amazing. Like, it'll make a space, but you're not going to mess that up.
No.
But I want, like, everything that you're going to use on a daily basis, whether it's the rugs or the upholstery pieces, to be really comfortable. And what I'm actually doing a lot of right now for many clients, because they have dogs and children, is we do outdoor fabrics on their indoor pieces.
Amazing.
And they're making such beautiful outdoor fabrics now, it's like you don't even really know. And they are. And they're so stain resistant. So people just like keep their feet up, have a glass of wine, and if it spills, they're like, we just dab it. They're not worried about it.
You could have the dogs, the kids,
everybody.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's really, I think, what makes space inviting. But again, it's just how the shapes and the bones.
Attention visitors. The next seminar will have international.
You have such a keen eye for the unique and eclectic. Where do you source them generally, and do you have any tips for finding those pieces?
I actually do a ton, believe it or not, on eBay.
Oh, right.
I
Okay.
love eBay.
Yeah.
Between eBay and there's a website that's sort of in Europe and the US called First Dibs,
Okay.
which is the other extreme, which is very high end. I do a lot of sourcing from those two places because you get interesting pieces from around the world on one website. And then auction houses, actually. I do a lot of auction houses on the East Coast of America. There's several up and down the coast. And then there's a site called Live Auctioneers, which actually is a combination of every auction in America, Europe. I'm not sure about Australia, actually. So it's just amazing resources now in this day and age.
Do you have to have a storage unit that you keep them all in?
I
Because you wouldn't obviously have a project every time.
Yeah, and sometimes it sits in the shop for a bit.
Yeah.
Or my house, and I enjoy it. So yeah, we do have the storage spaces because sometimes when you find something unique, you just have to get it because you'll never see it again.
Of course. Your eclectic style has been highly sought after. You've obviously worked with a lot of celebrity clients, Kate Bosworth, Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. What's it like to work with these kind of creative people? Because
it's great.
you were saying before in the seminar that they have no limits really, and bigger budgets.
I mean, actually, it's funny. Everybody has a budget, and even actors, because just like any self-employed person, you don't know when you're going to have work tomorrow or not.
Yep.
So it's, we don't have the unlimited budgets necessarily, but there's sort of unlimited creativity in a way, which is great, which I'm fine with that. Yeah.
I had a slight minute.
Are you interviewing?
Yes.
So what we get to do is just sort of really cool, wacky things. And because, like I was saying earlier, they are exposed to so many different cultures through their movies, and they're on set in interesting, wild places. When they come to you, they've sort of seen it all, and they're not afraid of it, which is great. Whereas the average client maybe might not be comfortable with it because they're not exposed to it as much. So it's good. It's like a sort of
you have to educate them a bit more as celebrities or creative people like that.
And also celebrities are really very interested in being cutting edge and ahead of the curve, and they want to be like, I want to do what nobody else is doing. So what can we do? So you're like, exactly, like Victoria was saying yesterday. So it's fun to be able to think ahead for them.
It's a challenge for you too.
Totally, I love it. And even with like really tight budgets, I find that a great design challenge is if you think outside the box and come up with solutions.
So what advice do you have for people that are just sort of getting started, or they're already established interior designers, for really creating rooms of personality?
Honestly, it's sort of like I was saying, like, don't be afraid to kind of pull from every which place. And that initial inspiration phase, which I had sort of spoken about, when you're pulling inspiration for a client, just don't sort of limit yourself. Pull anything and everything that you remotely like, or that you think they might remotely like, even if at the time you're like, how's this going to work together? This doesn't make sense. Because somehow, once you start to put it all together, and it does start to make sense. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it has a cohesiveness, like
it
a more converse about it.
Exactly. Not everything ends up working, and some of the things go out the window, but like at the end you're left with like maybe 4 pieces that, or 4 images of inspiration that you kind of are like, huh, that could work together, even though they're totally all over the place.
Yeah, right.
And luckily in this day, like now I feel like interiors are more eclectic, which is great. So you get to pull from everything and kind of have more options. So.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.